Hello and welcome to Boxes of Comics. This week we will be talking about the new DC movie titled The Batman and our expectations for the Caped Crusader's 7th actor, 5th franchise, and how successful this movie can be for a company that has had its struggles with superheroes as of late. So let's turn on that bat signal, rev that Batmobile engine, and we'll start right after this. Welcome back. Let's begin. Ba-dum-bum, like Batman Begins. So, the movie itself is set to release Friday, March 4th in the United States and stars the Twilight Saga actor Robert Pattinson as the titled character. This film is not an origin story for Batman, Matt Reeves said, but it is an origin story for the other characters such as Riddler, Penguin, and Falcone, which I think is pretty interesting to do. Although this world, our Earth, doesn't need a new Batman story, you could always rely on old Batsy to do great things at the box office. Whether that's the Dark Knight trilogy, which grossed over $2.4 billion, or the Zack Snyder's trilogy of Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, which also were pretty impressive, but those are give and take. Now, focusing on the story itself, this movie is directed by Matt Reeves. And to me, that's an okay choice. Not the best, but also definitely not the worst. Nothing exciting or memorable comes to mind for me per se, although his directing did impress me with his Planet of the Apes movie, which I thought really did push the PG-13 rating to its limits. I don't know how successful that could transfer over to the DC universe, and especially with Batman, but I think with characters such as Riddler, Falcone, and Cobblepot, along with hopefully having Warner Brothers learn from their merger that recently happened with Discovery, they might produce this movie, see it successful, and then maybe pumps the brakes just a tad to focus on other superheroes, such as a new Superman movie, cough cough, bring back Henry Cavill, or perhaps even The Flash that's coming out, or Justice League 2 would be interesting to see. Another interesting point I'd like to make is that Batman is more than likely successful, which I'm thinking that it will be. I would have thought like The Flash would incorporate a new way to bring this universe into the DCEU, so that way you could get rid of Ben Affleck's Batman, who does not want to be Batman anymore, bring in a younger, wiser Robert Pattinson as Batman, but I don't think they're going that route, as Michael Keaton is back for The Flash and for Batgirl. So I think he's going to be taking that Ben Affleck type role, which is good in some ways because you know that you could rely on him and that he is a great actor. But also you have to rely on nostalgia, which that could be a bit of an issue, as I don't know if he could last long as he's up there in age. People might not agree with how he interacts with other DCEU characters, whereas Pattinson, you could introduce this Batman and he could be your mainstay for years to come. Moving on is one final thing, and that's comic accuracy. To me, comic accuracy is very important, as it can be the mainstay and it can make or break your franchise. For Marvel, I feel like they've gotten more comic accurate suits, more comic accurate stories, more comic accurate characters. So that's why it's succeeding right now. Whereas with DC, I don't feel that quite yet. Hopefully that changes, especially with The Flash. I expect lots of comic accuracy from The Flash. Aquaman, the first one was pretty comic accurate. There were some give and takes. But also, I feel like with this Batman movie, it should be more comic accurate than others because of how, not necessarily dark, but how reminiscent of the comic books that it's going for, I feel like. And especially if Matt Reeves is taking inspiration from The Long Halloween, Batman Ego, and Batman Volume 1. Those are all great Batman stories that I think can help propel this franchise to produce a trilogy, a quadrilogy, even 5-6 movies, if possible. This is something really great for Warner Brothers to do, especially with a character such as Batman, who's been beaten to death over and over and over and over again with Warner Brothers Studios. Moving on, overall, I expect this movie to be at least a C plus or 3 out of 5 stars, and I can definitely see a sequel from this film if successful and does well at the box office. I also think certain villains should be on pause for a bit, such as the Joker, such as Two-Face, any like recent villains that we've seen from previous Batman movies, I feel like shouldn't come back, as you should give somebody like Mr. Freeze a redemption, because although Arnold Schwarzenegger was probably the best and only Mr. Freeze we're going to have, I think you could do a lot better. Or even with Victor Zsasz in the Dark Knight trilogy. He had a small, minor role in Batman Begins. I think you could really do something with like lower characters like that. But who would you like to see in a Batman sequel? And do you agree or disagree with anything stated in this video? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we will see you next time on Boxes of Comics.
Dear Joker, how are you? Robin, how do you put an attachment on this? Jeez. I